Okay. So, here comes the last little piece. These are called titration problems, and they're based on the idea of neutralization. So, when I say to you, how much of an acid do I need to exactly neutralize this base? What I'm asking is, how many moles of this H plus do I need, okay, in a certain amount of water to neutralize this? Moles of acid have to equal the moles of base. That's what neutralization is. So if you think with me for a second, moles of acid have to equal to moles of base. That's what neutralization. So the number of H pluses that come from the acid have to equal the moles of hydroxides that come from the base. Now, we have a formula that helps us do this, and it's called the titration formula. Okay? And it's called MV of the acid equals MV of the base, which means the molarity of the acid times the volume of the acid equals the molarity of the base and the volume of the base. The reason why this works so nicely, watch me write this formula out, or at least watch up here. Here's molarity, that's a concentration, times volume, equals molarity times volume. Now this is going to be for the acid, and this side will be for the base. Now what did I say? What did I say here? We're talking about neutralization. My friends in chemistry, what does molarity equal? What does molarity equal? Moles over what? Liter. And volume is a liter. Here's over here. Moles over liter times liter. Can anybody see what cancels out when you multiply molarity times volume? Tom, gotta be quiet now.
The liter.
The liter cancels. So when I times molarity times volume, the liters cancel, and what do we have? Mole of the acid equals the moles of the base. So essentially, M times V equals M times V is nothing more than a way to show you that H pluses are matching up with the hydroxides. So a very simple, straightforward formula. Here's how we do it. Watch. If I have a 0.80 molar hydrochloric acid, 0.80 molar, plug it in. That's for the acid side. They want the volume, so that's my unknown. If you want to put an X, be my host. Okay, now, the molarity of the base is 0.4. And I have 100 milliliters. Now watch. Before we blindly plug in, watch. Think with me for a second. I want you to think before you start using a formula. I have an acid that's twice as concentrated as the base. I am asking you, how much of this acid, who is twice as concentrated, do I need to exactly neutralize 100 milliliters of it? Well, if this was 0.4, think about this first. If this was 0.4 molar, the same concentration, wouldn't this be 100? Yes, but because this is twice as concentrated, don't I need half as much? And you should get 50. Doesn't it make sense I'll need half as much if it's twice as concentrated? What are we doing here? We're matching H pluses with hydroxides. So the answer is 50. But if you don't like that, 0.4 times 100 is 40. Okay? 40 divided by 80 is 0.5, if you do the math. So what's the answer is 50 milliliters of that acid. So the answer, of course, is 50 milliliters. Okay, try number 11 right now. So at this point, MV of the acid equals MV of the base. Now, I can solve this with algebra very simply, but let's make sense of this. It took, the fact that this is equal means that this has to equal the same moles of hydroxide as acid. It takes 15 milliliters of the base to neutralize completely, match the OHs with the pluses, H pluses. It takes 3 times the amount of volume to neutralize this acid. Shouldn't this be 3 times as concentrated? It takes 3 times the amount to neutralize this acid. So shouldn't this be 3 times as concentrated? 6, right. Now you're understanding how the formula works before just plugging in. Now if you solve for it, 2 times 15 is 30. 30 divided by 5 is 6. You get it. It's that simple. Now I'm not asking you to do that without doing the math, but I want you to understand how this works. You're matching hydroxides with the acid.
So you would normally do it by dividing that whole side by 5?
Yeah, so 2 times this divided by 5, and you're solving for the x. Okay, now, number 11 is a little bit different. I'm going to tell you right now, 95% of these types of problems, okay, are a 1-to-1 acid. Now, this is my last point, and I'm done today.
You have 2 number 11s.
I know. I was stuttering whole questions. Now, careful. 95% of these types of reactions, and I'll tell you, there's always one on a Regents. Always one of these in a Regents. In the part 2, they say show the work. Very straightforward. You have the formula, okay? Now notice, how many H's come off this acid? How many hydroxides come off this? 1. So you can do it just like that. Look at the next problem. How many H's come off this acid? How many bases come, how many hydroxides? So you have to be aware. So watch me set this problem up and I'll be done. MV of the acid equals MV of the base, so I do the same thing. It's a good idea to write the formula and see what you have. What did they give me? They gave me 0.25 molar acid, that's my molarity. And they didn't say, well, how much volume do I need? So that's my X. The molarity is 0.10 molar for my base. And my volume is 20 milliliters. Okay. Now, here's what we can do. Let's solve for x as if it was a 1-to-1. All right? So we got 0.1 times 20. So 10% of 20 is 2. And then we have 2 divided by 0.25. 2 divided by a quarter, that means you multiply by 4. You get x equals 8. If you don't trust me, find that. What's that? No, it comes out to be, I believe, 8. No? Am I correct?
I got 8.
Yeah, so 8. Okay? So this is 8 milliliters. Now, that's not the answer, though. This is 8 milliliters of the acid needed to neutralize this base. Think with me. But this base really has twice the amount of hydroxides. So shouldn't this need twice the amount? So the answer is 16. Good job, Rachel. You understand. Okay? Now, if you don't like the thinking part, here's what you do. Watch. If you have an acid and base that is not equal to 1, here's what you do. Notice the base had what? 2. That 2 you just put down here. So if you just wanted to solve for this without doing the extra thinking, the one that has the multiple, the 2 comes down the same side. You solve for x, and you will get 16. Okay, your homework is to do number 12. Okay, and that would be it. And finish lab 20. The rest of the time you are here to finish lab 22, which is the pH lab. You have a half an hour if you work at it. I'll come around and help you. Okay? What you're going to do is finish doing the data collection, and then do the questions, put it in my crate.